Two people face the same moment and walk away with completely different lives. One hears, "You're not good enough," causing him to shut down. Another hears the same thing and is pressed to improve. Same words, different meaning, different outcome. That's where your life is shaped. If meaning shapes everything, what's creating it in the first place? Stay with me to the end, and I will show you. Sarah received an email from her manager saying, "Let's discuss your project updates." The reality. 5 simple words. The meaning. Sarah's filter. "I must have messed something up, they're going to criticize me." She spent the next 2 hours catastrophizing, only to find out the manager wanted to congratulate her and ask her to present the updates to a client. Her stress wasn't caused by the email, but by the story she instantly assigned to it. There's an invisible loop running in the background of your mind, so subtle you don't even notice it. It goes something like this. You get a thought, which sparks a feeling, which initiates an action, causing an outcome or result, and it repeats. Loops aren't random or by chance. Mark had a pattern. Whenever he felt overwhelmed at work, he'd avoid his to-do list by diving into deep research on an unrelated topic. This was a cycle of avoidance, guilt, increased overwhelm, which lead to more avoidance. This hidden loop wasn't about laziness, far from it. It was a deeply ingrained subconscious stress response that kept him perpetually busy, yet unproductive. If nothing changes, your results won't either. You'll keep ending up in the same type of conflict. Different people, same outcome, but what's driving it underneath? Whenever Liam got into a serious relationship, he would inevitably find a small flaw, a minor difference in values, a scheduling conflict, and use it as justification to end things, fearing he wasn't ready. He kept meeting partners who were perfect on paper, but his pattern wasn't about the people. It was about his underlying fear of commitment, which guaranteed the same breakup scenario, just with different faces. Some of your strongest beliefs were installed before you even knew it. Let's say a woman believes she must always be liked. She calls it who I am, but it started as a way to stay safe. Here's the question. If you didn't choose them, can you change them? As a child, whenever Maya brought home an A-, her father would sigh and say, "Almost perfect." Maya unconsciously adopted the belief, "My effort is never quite enough." Now, as an adult, she constantly over-delivers and burns out, not because her current job demands it, but because that early, unchosen belief still sets her internal bar impossibly high. Patterns don't just appear, they're reinforced over time. Here's a pattern seen in avoiding difficult conversations. First, there's avoidance. Then relief. And of course, it is repeated. Now it feels automatic. Repetition is necessary for the pattern to lock in. And because they were reinforced, thinking cannot break them. David learned early that silence prevented conflict in his volatile childhood home. Whenever an argument began, he would physically freeze. Now, whenever his partner raises a serious issue, David goes quiet, physically unable to articulate his thoughts. His nervous system, valuing the safety learned decades ago, overrides his adult desire to communicate openly, locking the avoidance pattern in place. You can think all you want and still stay the same. A woman tells herself, "I'll be confident," but avoids every situation that tests it. No action, no new experience, no change. So if thinking doesn't change it, what does? After every failed dating attempt, Chloe would meticulously analyze her mistakes, reading self-help books, and intellectually knowing exactly what she needed to do differently. But when faced with a new opportunity, the familiar feeling of panic would surge, and she'd revert to her old, self-sabotaging behavior. Her rational mind understood the change, but her body hadn't learned the new response, proving that knowledge without somatic practice is just mental theater. Change doesn't start in your head, it starts in what you do. A man fears rejection. He takes one small action anyway, but something still holds people back. James always procrastinated on complex tasks. His usual reaction was self-criticism. One day, instead of judging himself, he tried a new approach. When he felt the urge to put off the work, he simply said, "Interesting, I'm feeling resistance right now." By naming the feeling without judgment, he created a tiny gap, disarming his stress response long enough to take one small action. The rewiring started with simple, curious observation, instead of fighting. "I should be more. I shouldn't feel this." That voice isn't always yours. If you live by other people's expectations, but none of it feels right, you're living on borrowed rules. So what happens when you stop following them? For years, Elena insisted that she should be a morning person, should meditate every day, and should only eat salads. The more she should'd, the more she resisted. Eventually, she realized that should was just shame in disguise. When she dropped the pressure and focused on what she wanted to do, like taking a walk after work, the resistance vanished, and healthy habits naturally started sticking. Most people try to change and accidentally stay the same. They wait until they feel ready, until they feel confident. But those feelings come after action, so they stay stuck waiting. So what's the move that actually works? The moment Leo decided to start exercising, he bought a gym membership and planned a daily 90-minute routine. He lasted 4 days and then quit, feeling like a total failure. His mistake was aiming for a massive leap. He tried to go from 0 to 100 instantly. Most people confuse ambition with sustainability. Real change happens in tiny, boring increments, not heroic bursts of effort. You don't need a big change, just a different move at the right moment. Like pausing instead of reacting. Just once, that simple interruption starts the process of breaking the loop. Then it happens again and again, until a new pattern forms. One more example. Maria was prone to spiraling into negative thought patterns whenever a small setback occurred. She realized her default was to connect the setback to her identity. I failed. The simple shift she made was changing that connection from identity to behavior. Instead of, I am a failure, she started saying, that behavior didn't get me the result I wanted. This small linguistic change separated her worth from her action, instantly breaking the cycle of self-pity and allowing her to focus on correcting the behavior. You've just been repeating something that you now know how to change. See you in the next one.